My mother, who lives in Williamsburg, is aware of Bedford boys.
I guess you should come and see Kim and spend 4 or 5 hours and they'll tell her every detail.
Please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. We have minutes from the adjourned meeting on September 21st, the regular meeting on September the 28th, and the called meeting on September the 28th. Are there any corrections, changes, comments on any of those minutes? No?
Do we accept the minutes?
All right. Accept the minutes as written. Next item is the report of the town manager, Mr. Warren.
Thank you, Mayor Black. In deference to our guests tonight, I don't really have a report, but I'll be pleased to respond to any questions you might have.
Anybody? No? No. Thank you. Appearances before council. Mr. Lane, did you want to speak tonight? We have you signed up to speak?
Yeah, I'll speak.
All right.
Too glad to.
All right.
Am I ready to
Yes,
speak?
sir. Just, if you would, for the record, just give us your address.
899 Brooks Hill Road, Bedford.
All right.
Afternoon, council members, manager, public works. This is my first time I've spoke in a council meeting. I want to speak on speed on Burks Hill. I know there's construction going on up there, but people don't act like they know it's construction going on. This morning, I don't know why I done it, but I sat down in my glassed-in porch from 7:25 to 8 o'clock. 341 vehicles went down the road, just coming into town, not counting what goes out. One of the best things that was done up there was they put a sign up on the utility poles telling you what your speed is, and a camera, I understand. But that lasted about 3 weeks. It's gone. I understand that the work has not been completed. I see a lot of things that's going to be not very good. I seen a person this morning jump in the middle lane and take off down the road and past everybody. The middle lane is supposed to be for turning, correct? That's going to be a problem. Now, how are you going to get from one side of the street, walking in the sidewalk, to the other side to finish walking up to the Liberty Lake Park? What's going to stop the traffic? I mean, it's traffic up there. Trucks, big trucks, little trucks, cars. And one of the bad things is in the morning going to work. This is what everybody's doing. You know what that is? They're in a hurry to get on the bypass and run 70, 75 miles an hour. I experienced that. What's the hurry? Are we running late? It's going to be ugly. But how do you get from one side of the street to the other? What's going to stop the traffic? If I had children walking, I'd be scared to death. People don't pay no attention to the speed limit. It means nothing. Trucks, and big trucks, little trucks, noise great day and morning. And these tractor and trailers hauling wood and logs and stuff, they top that in, that sign that says 35. They flip them jake brakes on. You ain't never heard this noise they make. And my concern is, what can be done? If you don't think I'm blowing smoke at you, you're welcome to come up my driveway and back in my driveway and you watch, see what goes on. People race up through there, they fly. They don't go how normal speed, they are running. Other morning, I went to get on the bypass, cut me right off. It was a lady. When she went through the 50-mile-an-hour zone before you get to Walmart, she was running 70. You know where she went? Walmart. 70 miles an hour plus in a 50-mile-an-hour zone. I don't see no state troopers. I don't see county cops. I don't see the town police. I don't see anybody stopping anybody. I've called the town police up about 4 times in the last 6 days. Other morning, come 5 cars in the road, takes off after one, come back. You know how fast the car was going? 53 miles an hour, 35 miles an hour. You got Smith Mountain Lake, you got Holliston, you got Moneta, and all the other side straight roads just piling into 122. You're almost going to have a stoplight or a caution light or something when you come to that 35, or start at the 45. You got 55, 45, 35. And it's going to be tough for people to get out of Liberty Lake Park. They have a ball game or something going on up out of night. And they all start out and then traffic pops over the hill, you're going to sit there. Other morning I sat in the middle lane, 24 cars before I got in my driveway. What are you going to do? So are we going to have a stoplight or a caution light? You need something like we got up here at the Goose Creek. How many have seen the signs up there? You're running over 45, $500 fine. So you can think about this. Appreciate letting me speak, and we'll see what we have next month after the construction probably will be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lane. Does anybody else wish to speak tonight? All right. If not, we'll move to the next item on our agenda, council comments. Mr. Stanley?
I've not been on any vacations lately, so I'm fine.
We want to hear more about the beach.
More to come.
Bruce?
Well, okay, a few things. First of all, I want to say to Dr. Burgeon, welcome to our council meeting tonight. Let's work together to try and get the kids in the right positions where, hey, if they want to do college, college is great. Trade schools so they can be ready for the jobs of tomorrow and the good paying jobs in this area to help make our economy the best we possibly can make it. And to Mr. Lane, those are definitely a lot of safety concerns, the speeding and the traffic. You know, that's something that I think we definitely need to look into to see what we can do to alleviate the problem a little bit, or at least make things a little bit better, at least look into it. Thank you for coming out and letting us know what's going on. I just wish more people from the town would come in and let us know what's going on. Thank you for coming out.
Yeah, Ms. Lane, appreciate it. I know that's a challenging road up there, and you know, I've been up there myself one day I was going into the car wash, and if I hadn't looked in my rear mirror and hit the gas, I would have been rear-ended. So I certainly understand, you know, and I think we can have some conversations with our police chief, maybe our streets committee or something, as we go through this process, you know, to try to figure out, you know, safety has got to be paramount, but, you know, at the same time, people got to start being responsible and you know, paying the speed limit and being cautious. But we will, I mean, I recognize, and we've talked about it numerous times, so, you know, we'll keep on that, and you know, with Todd and Bart and DW, and just, you know, do the best we can. But I think the bottom line is people just need to slow down. That's all I have right now. So, report to council committees, CJ.
We had a electric committee meeting at 6 p.m. this evening. About half of it was in closed session to discuss real estate. And after that, we discussed the Prairie State situation, where we get about 35% of our energy from, and its future and what needs to be done. And lastly, federal legislation that's on the horizon, and things we may be required to do. And as I always say, more to come.
Oh, and the property committee did have a meeting last week. Most of it was in closed session to try and take care of a few things that we need to get taken care of, which when the time does come, the time is appropriate, we'll let you know. But for the time being, it's pretty much dotting our I's, crossing our T's, and meeting went well.
Finance Committee met last Tuesday, discussed there were 14 licensed food trucks in the town. We were given a list. I don't have it here today, so if you notice any that aren't on the list, maybe you could let Sonia or Bart know about this, because it's an issue of collecting food tax revenue. So we got to make sure that they're paying their fair share. We discussed the projects that we had submitted, I think last October, to Bart, I believe, a list of projects just to get an update on the progress of that. And I believe Bart has talked to DW about that, and that's in progress. Just to say where we are as far as sidewalks and things we had listed that we said, hey, we got to get moving on these. Also discussed, there was a request from the committee to staff for a more detailed explanation or report of some kind of just really the cost of running the electric department, so we can get a better idea when we're dealing with the budget as to, you know, to how to allot, you know, what would come from the electric company. So we're hoping that we can get that fairly soon, a report on that, just a little more detailed analysis of all the costs associated with the electric company.
I just don't think we have any revisions to the agenda tonight. Nobody has anything. First item on the agenda is the consent agenda. For the request to close the street for the community Christmas tree lighting event.
Yes, sir. Mr. Jonathan Hayden is hosting the annual community Christmas tree lighting in Centertown on Saturday, December 4th, 2021, from 1:30 p.m. to 6 o'clock p.m. The event will have live music, arts and crafts vendors, food, and activities for children. Mr. Hayden is requesting the following road closure. South Bridge Street to be closed from 1:30 p.m. until 6 o'clock p.m. And I'm assuming that's from the intersection of Washington Street to Main Street. Mr. Hayden will notify the Fire Department, Bedford County Fire and Rescue, and the Police Department of the street closing. Tonight, Town Council is requested to close South Bridge Street from the intersection of Washington Street to Main Street for this annual event on Saturday, December 4th from 1:30 p.m. to 6 o'clock p.m.
I'll make a motion that we close above streets for the annual Camellia Christmas tree lighting in the center of town on Saturday, December the 4th, 2021, from 1:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. That's South Bridge Street.
He's submitted all his paperwork and everything's in order there, so we're good on that. If that's, any other questions for roll call?
Mr. Haley?
Aye.
Mr. Hartwick?
Aye.
Mr. Johannesson? Mr. Schoen?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.
Mayor Black?
Aye.
Motion carries with 6 ayes.
All right, the next item on the agenda is an update on activities from the Central Virginia Planning District Commission. Mr. Christie, welcome, and good to see you again. And
Mayor, members of the council, it's great to see you as well. Thank you for the opportunity to tell you about what we've been doing at the Planning District Commission. As everybody's world has, our world has changed as well. We are back out having in-person meetings again, but still in small gatherings. We are not having a big annual meeting gathering this year, but perhaps we can do that next year when we get the pandemic in ongoing control. The Planning District Commission has been in business for about 51 years, and it continues to be a place where local governments around Lynchburg and the surrounding counties come together and talk and get to know each other and build a relationship of trust so that we can do some multi-jurisdictional planning, some planning of issues across borders, and that we can do some projects that will save money by doing things together. One of the things that we're going to start in 2022 is a regional housing study. You know, over the past 18 months, housing prices have gone up. First-time home buyers and working families, it's harder and harder for them to buy a house. And the supply of houses in our region are surprisingly low. So we are going to do a study and hopefully that will give us some guidance as to how to spend $1.5 million that the Virginia Housing Corporation is giving us to create new housing starts. Now it will be leverage money for the business community and some nonprofits to leverage their money to make housing possible. I'm not sure whether it's going to go into low income, some of it will go into working family houses, but that's what this housing study will help us determine, is where and what kind of housing to use this money, and then to help guide counties and localities with their comprehensive planning as they think about their housing needs. We continue to work with Bedford Town here at the Hilltop CDBG project, and we're working with Amherst County at the Old Town Madison Heights CDBG project. We do comprehensive planning on the economic development stage. We are not the economic development marketers, but we do economic development planning through this comprehensive economic development strategy. And that's a 5-year process that will begin again in 2022. It helps to keep the many players in economic development coordinated with common visions, something we've all agreed to. And it helps to, we will include agriculture and silviculture in this year's planning process. We will focus, I expect, on advanced manufacturing. It's a priority for the region to continue to support advanced manufacturing. Recently, the PDC put in $134,000 to the Central Virginia Community College Career and Technical Education Academy as a match for some Go Virginia money, so they could hire a couple of staff members to get that going. We put in $150,000 just 2 summers ago for the Central Virginia Training Center and a comprehensive plan of how that could be redeveloped in Amherst County. You know, it sits right on the border right on the river across from the city. 350 acres, how can that be used now that the state has closed the facility and will soon put it up for some reuse? We're also doing an application to federal EPA for Brownfields assessment. You may be familiar with Brownfields assessment for what you guys are doing. We're looking at small projects in multiple localities, projects that wouldn't qualify for a full-blown Brownfields grant at EPA, but would qualify under this coalition of projects concept. We continue to be a transportation planner for the region. We've completed the intersection study last summer of the intersection at Independence and Longwood, and we'll be starting a study similar to that in Bedford County at Oak Forest Road and Ashwood Manor, Forest Road and Venture Drive, Thomas Jefferson Road and Burnbridge Road. Often these deal with safety. Often they position the locality to apply for a smart scale or some other grant to get this engineering done. We continue to work with GLTC, our Lynchburg's transit provider, and do some planning for them. We write grants for our localities, smart scale and transportation alternative grants. We haven't been doing much ride share or van pool services during the pandemic because nobody wants to share a ride. But that is starting to loosen up, and we will begin marketing, we expect, in 2022, the commuter services, ride-sharing services that we can provide. And we have a lot of folks, particularly from Bedford, but from all of our region, traveling out to the Roanoke area to work, and a few people traveling in. So that we expect our ride-share services to really pick up in 2022. We'll be updating the Greenways and Blueways plan. It's a regional plan of trails and waterways that may be used for trails. And we just finished the long-range transportation plan, which is done every 5 years at CVTPO. We've changed the name from the MPO, Metropolitan Planning Organization, to Transportation Planning Organization. So CVTPO, you'll find that plan for the region. We work in environmental areas, working with DEQ and the Chesapeake Bay, James River Vision Planning. And we run a landfill in Rustburg, 200,000 tons of solid waste for 4 jurisdictions. And there we have a gas to energy project being proposed and will be taken to the county for approval. And it continues to be a low-cost operation for the past 13 years. We are starting our final cell there with a $7 million project in 2022 as well. We completed a hazard mitigation plan, which plans for natural disasters and some man-made disasters. But also importantly, as well as the planning, it qualifies a community for certain grants that can anticipate what a disaster might do and make some repairs or replacements or demolitions in advance of a disaster event. We work with the Radio Communications Board. We have new dispatch furniture in Bedford County's Communications Center, about $178,000 worth of new equipment going in. And Campbell County will be added to the system in 2022, which has been on the discussion for the last 20 years. We'll have over 3,000 devices working through 21 radio towers. Lieutenant Shannon Walker of the Police Department is the board chair this year, and he's doing a great job, and we appreciate his service. During the past year, we brought about $24 for every $1 in dues that were paid by local governments. We brought about $24 in from federal, state, and other sources. And finally, the last thing I'd like to conclude on is our Workforce Development Board work. You know, this pandemic has made the employment process just crazy. With over 7,000 people in this region dropping out of the labor pool. We have an unemployment. There are about 1,400 people receiving unemployment, and that's about only twice as many as before the pandemic started. It was about 650. So we don't have a lot of people on unemployment compared to how many people are out of the labor pool. The quit rate has increased, not here, but nationally as well. And retirements have increased. You've got pressure on wages. And so our workforce board, which we have 35 members, and 7 of them are from Bedford County, they manage a grant of about $1.25 million and do planning about how to help the players, help the folks who are in workforce education work together, work in coordination, and help our businesses when it comes to finding people, training people, and meeting their work needs. You may know Tracy Bleedo from the Economic Development Department at the county. She's now working as the director of the Workforce Board, and we're pleased to have her. We just think that this workforce area is important for economic development and for our business community. You've seen an annual report got passed out to you. I'm happy to take any questions, and I appreciate your time to let me fill you in on what we've been up to.
Any questions or comments from Mr. Person?
Gary, I'm amazed with all you have going on and what a great job you are doing. You did catch my ear with the Central Virginia Training Center property. I'm very familiar with that, been there a number of times throughout my previous career with Appalachian, but do you have any idea what the future may hold for that? I often thought it has great potential.
Well, the Business Alliance spent about $450,000 with the company to do a master plan. Mm-hmm. And that will be released in 2022. Okay. But it has a mixed-use purpose, both for the business as well as residential.
Yeah.
So it's owned by the state of Virginia today, Department of Behavioral Health, and they're responsible for marketing it when they're ready to turn it loose. We're trying to make sure that they turn it loose in a way that's going to benefit to the region and to Lynchburg and Amherst in the most best use, the greatest and highest and best use for the property.
I'll be curious to see the future of that. It's, to me, it was always a good piece of property.
Well, it has access to the 4-lane highway.
Yeah.
It has access to the river. It overlooks the city. It's just a great location.
Yeah.
It's just the state owns it, and they're controlling it right now.
Yeah. Thanks.
I'd just like to thank you all for, the work you've done here with the Hilltop Community Development Grant. That was a very successful grant process, and look forward to seeing what that's going to,
Thank you.
How that's going to help that community. And we still the intersection of Independence and 221. We're still trying to mull over what we want to do there,
And sometimes those things take time.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's a tough intersection, but we'll figure that out at some point in time as well. But we appreciate you participating and helping us in town. So
We're great partners. It's great to have our board members, Mr. Johansson and Mr. Warner, have served well on the PDC board. We appreciate that.
I just want to say thank you for coming up here and speaking those to us tonight. Since it was Region 2000, since y'all changed your name and stuff like that, I was on the original board one time before or whatever. And thank you for supporting our town and our community.
Thank you.
And before you get away, I just want to thank you personally, Gary, for your efforts on our behalf in the community. You've been a real pleasure to work with, and treasure you as a professional colleague and wish you the best in your future endeavors.
Thank you.
yeah, are you getting ready to retire? Is that what I
We'll have
heard?
an announcement. We'll have an announcement at the next week's PDC meeting. But that is in the cards.
Okay.
One more thing is thank you for coming out here tonight, give us an update. Thank you for all the work you did, for partnering with us to try and help us get our economy going in the direction that needs to go. And if you are retiring, may you have a happy and wonderful retirement. But more importantly, thank you for coming out and give us an update.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr.
Appreciate it. All right, next we're going to welcome Mr. Bergen, Dr. Bergen, the new superintendent of Bedford County Schools. I've had the opportunity to chat with Dr. Bergen on several occasions, and welcome, and look forward to hearing your thoughts on the school system and how we can partner together. And once again, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Blunt. Good to see you again. Council members, nice to make your acquaintance, and friends from the town staff. I was with Bart, was that just last week?
Yes.
Yeah, we were just having a chat, and I said, I haven't had an opportunity to meet with the town council yet. I'd like to come by and just introduce myself personally and see if there are any questions I can answer for you. So I can just start personal, let you know that I relocated here to start June 1st. My wife and I bought a beautiful home up in Sedalia, just heading straight on up Big Island Highway right off of Charlemont. And we came with 100 critters. So it took 5 U-Haul trucks to move all of the fencing and all of the housing, and then just took 1 truck to move the human stuff. We're now well situated. Those animals are because we're a 4-H family. My wife was an FFA kid in high school, and we had two boys that we raised up in the 4-H way. So these animals really, they came as a 4-H project, and the boys have grown up and moved on, but the animals are still with us. So mostly chickens, ducks and geese, but some horses and goats and dogs, cats and bunnies, like a big petting zoo. I'm about 30 years in education. The first 8 were in the elementary school classroom in Indiana, and then I relocated back to Virginia in my late 20s. My parents lived here in Bedford for about half their married life. I was actually raised in Lynchburg, so this is somewhat of a coming home for me. While I haven't worked in Bedford before, I'm very familiar with Bedford from having visited for a couple of decades to visit my parents' home here. And of course, I grew up just on the other side of the line, and my 4 brothers and sisters would have been Brookville Bees, if you know the Brookville, Peter Pan River, Campbell County. But 8 years as a teacher in Indiana, and then I moved here, and was 8 years as a principal, all in Virginia, 3 years as a deputy superintendent down in Moore County, North Carolina. If you're a golfer, you know Moore County because that's where Pinehurst is located. Beautiful area, North Carolina. And then the last 6 years prior to this, I was in Virginia. Well, I missed out on there. 5 years I was in Chesterfield County as director of elementary education for the 38 elementary schools. That was before I went to North Carolina to be a deputy superintendent. The last 6 years I was chief of staff in Virginia Beach for the 80,000 students and nearly 90 schools in Virginia Beach. I was looking for a superintendency to be in a school division where I could really develop deep personal relationship with principals and staff, and town councils, and board of supervisors, and board of education members. Because when you're in a conglomerate like Prince William, where I was as a principal, and Chesterfield County as a director, and Virginia Beach, it's hard to have personal relationship when it's just a million people. But here in Bedford County, I feel very comfortable and very much at home. I've enjoyed in the last 4 months getting out and engaging with the community, so I've been doing a lot of community engagement sessions. Any organization that invites me to speak, I'm happy to say yes, and come and introduce myself and talk about the good work of the school division. So let me just tell you, looking forward, I appreciate your comments, Mr. Hardwick, about college and career readiness. I've been out talking in the community that I think that your zip code should not determine your access to higher, more challenging coursework. And we do offer AP and dual enrollment in all of our high schools, but we don't have equal offerings in our 3 high schools. And I think that we can and should develop a list of what we think are some courses that our Bedford County students should have access to regardless of where they live, and CTE coursework. So we don't have equal offering of CTE in each of our high schools. So I'd like to see us develop together an understanding what we believe more advanced coursework and CTE coursework is for our students. It's not college or career readiness, it's college and career readiness. So, my really lofty goal is that we'll have 100% graduation. We're not far from that. We're at about 93%. So 93 out of 100 kids graduate on time in 4 years. The 7 that graduate on time, we get a lot of them in year 5 and 6 that finish up with a GED. Our dropout rate has dropped and dropped and dropped and dropped. And the common denominator on our dropouts is children poverty. They drop out because they have to work, or they have other family circumstances. So I would like for all of our high school graduates to graduate with a diploma, with at least 1 career technical certification, and at least 1 either AP or dual enrollment class. So an 18-year-old staring into the future can decide to go straight into the workforce. There are, as you all are well aware, I'm a member of the chamber, and so I hear it in the regular meetings, there's 1,200 jobs right now. People want to work and work. If you have the right certification background, so you can come right out of high school and make good money. I'm the youngest of 5. I'm the only one that went to college. It doesn't mean my 4 brothers and sisters aren't successful. They all own their own homes. They've raised up families and they've lived good lives working for a living. I decided to do the college route. But you can be very successful in life in either direction. I think we need to offer that opportunity for all the students. So along those lines, over the next 7 months, I'm going to be engaging the community in the development of a new strategic plan. There'll be lots of opportunity for individual members and organizations within the community to offer input on that strategic plan, and we'll follow the direction of the community. So when I talk about things like having a established coursework that should be available in all of our schools, or CT offerings that should be available to all of our students, improving upon the CT offerings that we offer. We have great offerings now at Gibson, but we don't have, like, for instance, an HVAC program. I'd like for us to develop one. There's opportunity to grow and improve upon our current offerings. But I want the community to make that decision. So we will have opportunities for surveys, for focus groups, for articulated interviews, for town halls, a variety of ways for people to engage in ways that they want to, either personally or anonymously. We'll collect all of that information, and we will determine what our goals will be for the next 4 to 5 years and what our strategy will be to reach those goals. So as that process unfolds, I'll continue to stay in touch with Bart to make sure we get the input of the council, the board of supervisors, and all the citizens of Bedford County to make sure that our strategic plan and the offerings of our school division meet the desires of our community and of our parents and our students. As for instance, one of those groups I'll be engaging with regularly is the Superintendent's Advisory Council. That's made up of students, teachers, administrators, parents, in all of our high school zones. And so I'll engage with that group regularly and ask them to go back out into their normal contacts and to continue to collect information and bring them back for our discussions. So good work coming up in the next 7 months. I have the good fortune of being able to build on a very fine tradition in Bedford County. Our schools are excellent schools. They have fine reputations. There's always room for improvement, so that'll be our focus over the course of this next week. So Mayor Black, I'm happy to answer any questions that you or your colleagues may have for me about our school division.
Does anybody got any questions for Dr. Purdy?
I just want to say welcome to Bedford. Hopefully you will lead our schools in a new direction.
Yes, sir.
I'm kind of the same mindset. I'm sure you've heard probably a lot since coming here from parents, different ones. I like your one word you used, equal schools.
Yes, sir.
That's what I think everybody wants to see. And I will say, for the record, that our vocational system has been good for years. It's, of course, needs improvement at times and tweaked. I attended that when I was at Liberty High School for 2 years, and it certainly, the electricity, electronic side of things, greatly aided me in my career. So you're right. It's a good aid for people. Happy to see you in Bedford. Look forward to great things. Appreciate you coming.
Of course.
Well, first of all, once again, welcome to Bedford. Now, of course, the kids starting to high school, it's a way to let them know, hey, what kind of jobs are out there in the Bedford area, whether it be mechanics or a job where they're going to need a 4-year degree for, or even just their high school diplomas, are a way to let them know what employers are looking for. That way, if someone wants to be a mechanic or go to college or what have you, they can do that.
They sure can, and that conversation really needs to start when they're in middle school. So part of what we'll do, by the way, tomorrow we're going to be introducing a new CTE supervisor for our school division. So, when I started June 1st, but I really have been coming to the county throughout April and May on some transition visits. So I took vacation days from Virginia Beach so I could travel here and I could be out and about meeting the principals and the staff as the last school year was wrapping up. So I was coming in with some background knowledge. And something that I heard repeatedly from our teachers and our principals was they wanted better supports at the school level from our central team. So with no change in our budget, I was able to rearrange some of the positions that we had in our central office that would have a more direct impact on our teachers and on our principals, including going from 2 to 5 supervisors of curriculum and instruction. So that fifth one is supervisor for CTE and workforce development. So this individual will just wake up every day and do nothing but help us get better at CTE and workforce development. I appreciate the comment about, kids are going to have to make a choice when they're 18, but we should start talking to them when they're 12. We need our business partners in the community to come and participate and educate our students about what are the different types of jobs that you can do to have a successful and happy life. And then give the students, as they're matriculating into high school, an opportunity to job shadow so they can see what that job is. And then, as they learn those skills, to have an internship. So the employer's benefit is you get to lay eyes on a kid and see, do they have good communication skills? They show up on time? Are they respectful? They have good work ethic. We believe they do. We want our employers to see that before you reach your hand out and accept a job with them upon graduation. So that just needs to be built into the plan, is having a career and college preparedness plan that starts when you're 12 years old. So we're going to make sure we make that part of the plan. That's good.
Well, we appreciate you being here tonight, and like I said, any way we can help partner with you, and I know that you probably talked to Bart on a couple small items, but we want to be a good partner with you and do the best we can for our kids in this community and help provide them the quality education they deserve. So, welcome. We look forward to hearing more and seeing more of what your vision and your plans are, and see what's next for Beaufort County Schools.
Thank you, Mayor. We appreciate your partnership as well.
Thank you.
All right, with that, I think that's everything for this evening. Meeting's adjourned.
That was probably pretty good.
Short, sweet.